The very first technical session is on COVID-19 and climate change, gobbling up world economic growth, prescription for repair job. For now, we'll take you straight into the first session and straight to Bangkok. We are being joined by Ms. Deepali Khanna from there. Ms. Deepali Khanna is the Managing Director of Asia Region Office, the Rockefeller Foundation. Ms. Khanna manages the Foundation's policy, advocacy, grant-making and partnerships in Asia. She leads the Rockefeller Foundation's initiatives to convene and catalyze strategic collaborations that advance development in Asia as well as harness Asia's role in enhancing the well-being of humanity in the region and around the world. Let's go across to Ms. Deepali Khanna. Ms. Deepali Khanna, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much and a very good afternoon to all. I'm really honored to share this platform with dignitaries and of course with such an august audience and on such an important topic of the twin crises that we face today of COVID-19 and climate change, the effects of which are grave on global economic growth. I do see opportunities to get ahead of these crises. We are at this moment living through the great divergence, which is what the Rockefeller Foundation sees as a growing divergence between the developed and the developing countries. Let's examine this with numbers. 80 years of continuous human development came to a standstill. Decades of progress has been lost. Africa, a continent of over 1.3 billion people, has been able to vaccinate just 15.6% of its population compared to 79% of population in high and upper middle income countries. 130 million people could be pushed into poverty due to COVID-19 and climate change. This is completely unacceptable in this day and age. With the technologies we have, we must strive to do more, not just for them, but for our own security too. The larger the gap between the vaccinated haves and unvaccinated have-nots, greater the likelihood of the emergence of a dangerous variant. To plug this gap, we must build back together and greener and invest in resources, technologies, and people which ensure that future growth is not only sustainable, but also safer for all of us. A start to this is bringing these principles to our continuous fight against COVID-19. We must ensure that everyone has equal access to COVID-19 therapies, diagnostics, and genome sequencing to curb the spread of the virus. We must collaborate with each other to further accelerate vaccine rollout in poor countries. I would especially like to thank India for exporting vaccines to more than 100 countries in such dire times. India is also leading South-South cooperation under the ambit of India-UN Development Partnership Fund, managed by United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, by strengthening national health capacities and reducing socioeconomic and negative development impacts of the COVID-19 crisis in least developing countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing countries. The world will be eternally grateful to India, and I know I am, for the leadership shown. The economic arguments for coordinated action are overwhelming. Faster progress in ending the health crisis could raise global income cumulatively by $9 trillion over 2020 to 2025. That would benefit all countries, including around $4 trillion for advanced economies, which beats by far any measure of vaccine-related costs. To accelerate the end of this pandemic and prevent future ones, the Rockefeller Foundation has committed $150 million and established the Pandemic Prevention Institute. The Pandemic Prevention Institute will pursue this goal together with a coalition of organizations and focus on speeding the collection, sharing, and analysis of high-quality data, including genome sequencing, artificial intelligence, aggregation of traditional and non-traditional data, so that communities around the world have the tools they need to respond to an outbreak. We are partnering with WHO Hub, the UK Radar, the US CDC Center for Forecasting and Outbreak Analytics, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology Consortium in India to create an effective and equitable global threat detection system. This kind of coordinated action needs to be replicated in our efforts to tackle the climate crisis. In order to meet the moment, we must focus on green recovery out of the pandemic. because I know this doesn't surprise anyone in the audience that there's no going back to the past to before COVID. The world's nations should launch a COVID charter that places human security at the top of the 21st century development agenda, making clear that the transnational crisis affecting the most vulnerable pose the greatest near-term risk to international stability. We must leverage all our resources and relationships to build an equitable and sustainable future where everyone has the opportunity to realize their full potential and climate disaster is avoided. To ignite this transformation, the Rockefeller Foundation and its partners, such as the IKEA Foundation and Bezos Earth Fund, are investing $10 billion to establish the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet. We hope to catalyze $100 billion plus in public and private investment to accelerate an equitable energy transition in over 50 emerging markets. We aim to reach a billion underserved people with reliable renewable power, avoid and avert 4 billion tons of carbon emission, and drive economic growth. India has served as inspiration for taking our work global through Smart Power India, where we have impacted the lives of 500,000 people through 500 solar-powered mini-grids across Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Jharkhand. I applaud India's ambitious COP26 targets and goal of net zero by 2070. India will lead the green growth agenda in the coming years and decades. It has shown exceptional leadership at the International Solar Alliance and the recently launched Green Grids Initiative in pursuit of its net zero goals. We will be happy to collaborate with the Indian government to support and accelerate this transition. Let me pivot to how another avenue that is critical in unlocking these achievements, which is financial reform. Right now, not enough countries have the necessary liquidity to respond to the health and economic crisis created by the COVID-19 pandemic. While there has been exceptional leadership shown by the International Monetary Fund in approving $650 billion in special drawing rights, we need to do more. Getting there, though, will require the focus and determination of G7 and G20 leaders. The Rockefeller Foundation hopes to support in every way possible to mobilize this will for action. It will be crucial to develop finance strategies that are country determined with the requisite political will and funding coordination mechanisms to achieve sustained and scaled results. I recognize that private capital has a role to play, and philanthropies, multilateral development banks, DFIs all have to do their part to find opportunities to mobilize that capital and channel it in the most effective way. In conclusion, I would like to say that these challenges are interconnected and hence the solutions of them must be the same. We must come together as countries, philanthropies, and development organizations to tackle the challenges of today and the future. We need sustained leadership to bring about monumental change. Now it's our turn to meet the moment and drive forward transformational change to repair our planet today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Deepali, for joining us for this TIOL Tax Congress. And thank you so much for being patient. Sorry for a little delay in the program. But you've been very patient, and thank you so much for sharing your insights. We really value your association. Thank you.
Thank you so much.